Hey, it's me, Dax Moy, back with another one of my mad ramblings and another kind of what's your biggest problem answers to members on my community. So I have a 10,500 strong community over at daxmoy.ning.com where I'm trying to do my best to help these 10,000 or so people get into the greatest version of the grandest vision they hold of who they are and what their lives could be. Okay, so today I've got a question from Helen Edwards, and Helen says, "Hi Dax, my biggest problem is I cannot stay focused on a weight loss program. I have around 4 stone to lose, so that's about 56 pounds in weight, and although I lose about 6 pounds, I gradually put it back on again. Getting in the right mindset and staying there to achieve my goals is something I'd love your help with, Helen." Okay, Helen, so this is a really common one. Okay, many people, you're definitely not alone in this. Many people really struggle to find the motivation to both get themselves going and keep themselves moving in the direction of their goals. Okay, and over the course of the years that I've been doing the work that I've been doing, both as a trainer, as a coach, as an author of what traditionally would have been kind of deemed motivational material, I've come to notice that very few people are able to remain motivated for a long time. And what I mean by motivated is find the energy to keep themselves moving in the direction of their goals for long enough to actually achieve them in any worthwhile way. So they end up with, as you've described, this kind of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes a bit more than 1 step back kind of dance where they kind of move forward a little bit, they get a bit of their result, they come back, they move forward a bit, they get a bit of their result, and they come back. Right, well, this is one of the problems with the motivational approach. Okay, so motivation generally tends to be a very extrinsic thing and something that's focused on, how do we say it, goals that aren't necessarily as important to us as we think they are. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. On a superficial level, we say that we want to drop that X number of pounds, or that we want to get into a certain clothing size, or that we want to be able to lift a certain amount of weight or run a certain distance in a certain time, whatever it is. Okay, but the truth of the matter is that most of these goals actually don't mean anything to us. And the reason they don't mean anything to us is because we've not connected with the meaning of the goal. Okay, so to simply say to yourself, do you know what, I really want to get to this position, I want to weigh this, I want to lose this 56 pounds, that's all well and good. Okay, but if losing 56 pounds were in and of itself a really powerful thing for you to be engaged in, then you'd already be there. Okay, you would already be there. So it's not as powerful as we generally tend to think. But what is powerful, what can be powerful, and what can be extremely powerful is digging down into that goal to the point where it means a lot more to you than it currently does. And I call this, with my coaching clients, I call this getting to why. So really digging down about what is the importance of this goal? Like, where does it lie? I once had a client who, she had over 100 pounds to lose. She'd been kind of chronically overweight for a very long period of her life, and she'd done this 2 step forward, 2 step back, 2 step forward, 1 step back, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, kind of toing and froing. This fat loss walk she'd been engaged in her entire life. And when I asked her about the goal, she just simply kind of hit me with a number that she was trying to lose. And I think at the time she was talking about losing about 50 pounds in weight. Well, we sat down, we discussed, what was the purpose of losing this 50 pounds? She said, well, obviously just to lose 50 pounds. I said, okay, well, why do you want to lose the 50 pounds? What's it supposed to do for you? What's this losing 50 pounds going to do? And we ripped back the first layer of the onion. I call it peeling the onion. And that first layer of the onion was that she wanted to look a bit better in clothing. She didn't feel that kind of she looked as good as she could look. So well, that's great. Why do you want to look a bit better in clothing? And she peeled back another layer of the onion and told me that that she was feeling less than attractive, that she didn't really feel that kind of she was a good representation for who she wanted to be in life. Well, look, the long and the short of it is that we peeled back layer after layer of this particular lady's onion. Okay, when we got down to the core, it came down to the simple fact that she felt short, fat, ugly, didn't ever believe that she was going to find a person to see the beauty in her and love her for who she really was, right? So that's kind of deep stuff, right? That's kind of getting down to the core. Interestingly enough, she was quite upset by the time she got to that point, but upset weirdly enough in a positive way, right? So she was crying, but kind of crying with relief because she'd actually recognized the fact that it's the first time she had really told herself the truth about why she was doing all the things she was doing. Now, here's the interesting thing. From being a person who traditionally bounced back and forth and did the weight loss two-step, she became a person who was so focused on where she wanted to go, what she wanted to do, that she never once gained another pound back. She just kept moving in the right direction the entire time. Okay, so look, here's the point I'm getting at. And you've heard this before, it's because it's pretty much cliche nowadays. If you have a big enough why, you will overcome any how. Okay, if you keep getting caught up, if you kind of do the kind of the weight loss two-step, kind of a bit forward, a bit back, a bit forward, a bit back, and this is happening a lot, it's simply a case that you haven't really identified the truth, the actual real reason behind the weight loss. Okay, you're focusing in a video I did recently. I spoke about metric obsession, this idea of making the number on the scales go down or making the number on the tape measure go down. Okay, but that's not what life's about. I mean, to be honest, if that's what life were about, it's pretty bullshit, right? It's pretty bullshit. If you think our entire life, we're going to measure our happiness as we go through life on being that this number on the scale has to get to there, or that this number on the tape has to go down to this. Okay, that's a pretty crap way of determining kind of the importance of the things that you're doing. And ultimately, and the reason I put it that way, and the reason I put it so bluntly, is to really get you and get everyone who's listening to this really thinking about this. Right, chasing numbers on scales, chasing numbers on tape measures is never going to be enough to actually keep you moving in the right direction. But finding your truth, actually telling yourself the truth about exactly why it is that you want to get yourself into better shape, is a completely different scenario. Because once you've told yourself the truth, you can never go back. You can try to lie to yourself again in the future, but once you actually really and truly uncover the truth about what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, ultimately why you're doing it, and this is critical, it becomes impossible to lie to yourself after that. And because you can't lie to yourself, you keep the focus, you keep the forward momentum, you keep the emphasis on going to where you truly, truly want to go, where you truly want to end up. Because now it becomes meaningful to you. Okay, so my answer to you, Helen, specifically, but my answer to kind of people in general that are really finding that they're struggling to get themselves to where they want to go, is stop messing about with kind of abstract ideas and bullshit numbers like tapes and kind of numbers on the scales and pounds. They're absolutely fine. It's fine once you understand what it is that you're trying to do and why you want to do it. It's absolutely fine to then start to measure the efficacy of that against the tape, if you wish to, against the weight on a scale. But until you really know why you're doing it, you are pretty much on a hiding to nothing. You are in a situation where you are absolutely guaranteed to be set up to fail, because we only ever keep moving in the direction of the things that make us happy. Okay, that's the kind of the big kind of secret behind the ability to set and achieve kind of goals, right? It's this idea that we will keep moving in the direction of what actually makes us happy. So now, flip it back. If you're moving in the direction of a certain weight on a scale or a certain number on a tape, and then suddenly you find yourself less interested in it, it's because somewhere you've realized that actually, do you know what? It doesn't matter what this number actually says on this tape. It doesn't matter what this number says on this scale. I'm still not going to be any happier than I currently am. Okay? There's the magic. Okay, figure out what's going to make you happy. In other words, attach your goals, attach your focus to the things that are really and truly going to matter to you as you move forward through life, as opposed to just getting caught up in numbers on scales, numbers on tapes, and numbers that anybody else arbitrarily gives you as you go through life, and that including things like the number of calories you should be eating and the number of grams of fat you should have and grams of carbohydrate and so on. Instead, get focused on why you want the thing that you want. Okay, I promise you, as soon as you uncover the big why, as soon as you kind of really, really dig down and you say, wow, this is why I want to do the thing that I want to do, then things are going to change for you. I always describe it as seeking your greatest version of your grandest vision of who you could be. Okay, your greatest version of your grandest vision of who you could really, really be. So think in your mind now, Helen, and anybody watching this, think to yourself, who could I really be? If I actually ate right for the next 6 months, the next 6 months of my life, if I really ate clean, I ate things well, if I really exercised really, really well for the next 6 months, if I took care of my hydration, if I took care of my supplementation, if I went to bed early, if I managed my stress better, who could I be 6 months from now? And why would that matter? Right? When you start to understand the greatest version of the grandest vision and what that looks like and what that feels like and what that would mean to you and ultimately to your happiness, then you'll be able to hold on to pretty much any activity that you're engaged in, because now it means something. Okay, so a bit of a mad rambling. I kind of covered a bit there. Probably kind of went around in circles a couple of times there as well. That's my style, I guess. But I hope that makes some sense, and I hope that connects with you in some way. And you know, whether this be for Helen herself watching it, or whether it be for anybody else who's kind of stuck and trying to find some way of really motivating themselves. Forget about motivation and think more in terms of inspiration. Okay, inspiration is drawing in that idea of the greatest version of the grandest vision, pulling it into yourself. Okay, connecting with it, not just here in the head, but here in the heart. And that's the trouble with numbers, you see, right? Because numbers you don't pull into your heart, right? Numbers you pull into your head, right? That's a logic thing. But for you to actually stay with something for a long time, that's a feelings thing. Think about relationships. Relationships that, you know, with people that you love in life, they don't make sense from a numerical stroke logical perspective. They make sense from a feelings and heart perspective. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is getting in touch with your feelings, finding out why these things really matter to you. Stop telling yourself lies, stop telling yourself bullshit, and really connect with the things that really, really matter to you. And as soon as you do, things are going to change for you. You won't ever worry about dropping off again. And if you have a couple of days where you let your eating go and a couple of days where you don't train correctly, you won't go into a downward spiral and a panic. You'll just say, hey, I'm just chilling out for a couple of days. I haven't forgot what I'm in this for. I haven't forgot what I'm doing all this for. I still know who it is that I'm trying to be. Okay, that's another mad rambling from me, Dax, and I hope it makes sense to you. Makes sense to me, but I don't know if it makes sense to you. And I look forward to the next questions that are coming up in the What's Your Problem? Take care.